I got that job down the bowling alley. What tempin'? No, it's permanent. I tried to get a job there, but there was a strike. A man goes into the doctor with a penguin on his head. The doctor says, "What can I do for you?" And the penguin says, "Well, it started as this growth on my foot." A man raises his arm and says to the doctor, "Doctor, it hurts when I do this." "Well, don't do it then," says the doctor. 3 vampires goes to a bar and the bartender asks them what they want to drink. He asked the first vampire, "What do you want to drink?" "1 glass of blood, please." "And you, sir?" And he asked the second vampire. "That sounds good. I'll have 1 glass of blood as well." Then he asked the third vampire, "And you, what do you want to drink?" "I love a glass of plasma." The bartender replied saying, "So, it's 2 glass of blood and 1 glass of blood light." A polar bear walks inside a bar and the barman asked, "What do you want to drink?" The polar bear hangs his head and slightly sighs deeply and said, "I'll have a pint of bitter barman." The barman replied, "Why the big pause? What does an agnostic, dyslexic insomniac do?" "Stay up all night wondering if there is a dog." A termite walks into a cocktail lounge and asks a customer, "Is the bartender here?" An English, an Irish, and a Scotsman walk into a bar. The barman asks, "Is this a joke?" A guy goes to the doctor and he says, "Doctor, I'm really worried about my brother. He thinks he's a hen." The doctor says, "Have you taken him to see a psychiatrist?" And the guy says, "Don't be stupid. We need the egg." A group of chess enthusiasts were kicked out of a hotel reception for discussing their winning games. The manager can't stand the chestnuts boasting in an open foyer. A brain and a jump leads walks into a bar. The brain order for a pint of barman, but the barman refused to serve him. When asked why, the barman replies, "Well, you're clearly out of your head, and your friend there looks as if he's about to start something." The police arrested 2 men. One is drinking battery acid, and the other is for eating firecrackers. They charged one and let other one off. A man went to a horse breeder and said, "I want that horse." The breeder said, "That horse ain't looking so good," but the man insisted to buy the horse. The next day, the man came back with the horse and said, "You sold me a blind horse." The breeder replies, "I told you that horse ain't looking so good." 2 hikers were walking through the woods when they notice in a distance that there is a bear charging towards them. The first hiker managed to lace up and replace his trailing boots into a running shoes, while the second hiker just laughed at the first hiker and said, "Why bother changing boots if you can't outrun the bear?" The first hiker said, "I don't have to outrun the bear, I only have to outrun you." There's a saying, before you criticize someone, walk a mile in their shoes. Then, when you do criticize them, you'll be a miles away and have their shoes. A man on a business is staying on a high-rise hotel with a bar on the top floor. After checking in and seeing his room, he decided to go upstairs. There's only one patron in the bar. The businessman orders a drink. While ordering, he was surprised of what the patron is doing. Eats his orange, chug his drink, and jump out of the window. The next night, the businessman goes upstairs again to have a drink. The same thing happened. The patron last night eats his orange, chug his drink, and jumps out of the window. The third night, the businessman convinced himself that he can also do it like the patron does. So the businessman eat his orange, chug his drink, and jump out of the window and die. Then the barman said to the patron, "Superman, you're a real jerk when you're drunk." A woman has twin boys and gives them up for adoption. One goes to a family in Egypt and is named Amal. The other goes to a family in Spain and is named Juan. Years later, Juan sends a picture of himself to his birth mom. Upon receiving the picture, she tells her husband that she wishes she also had a picture of Amal. Her husband responds, "But they are identical twins. If you've seen Juan, you've seen Amal. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back?" A stick man walking down the street meets a friend who has a lobster tucked under his arm. "Are you taking that lobster home to dinner?" he asks. "No," says friend. "He's had his dinner and now I'm taking him to the pictures." A man is sat at home watching TV when he hears a knock at the door. The man gets up and answers the door. To his astonishment, there is a snail at the door. The snail says, "Can I sell you some double glazing?" To which the man replies no and kicks him down the street. 2 weeks later, there is another knock at the door. The man answers it, and it is the snail again. The snail then say, "What did you do that for then?"